Director Bobby Lindemood,
Here.
Vice President Newton,
Here.
Director Terho,
Here.
Director Slauson,
Here.
and Director Wheat.
Here.
Okay. And President Dodson is here. Okay, next item, that was item 1. Agenda item 2 is the reading and public hearing for the consent. Resolution R-20-154, a resolution approving action under consent items of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation Board, meeting of August 25th, 2020. Whereas the board has taken action on certain items of the agenda under consent items now, therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation, Section 1, that the agenda decisions approved by the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation Board action under consent items as follows are hereby adopted. A, approval of the minutes of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors meeting of August 27, 2019. And B, approval of the minutes of the Colleyville Economic Development Board of Directors work session of August 11, 2020, and is so resolved. Are there any discussions? Were there any corrections to the meetings, the minutes that were sent out? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. Any cards or anyone here? No one here, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed, and a motion is in order.
Move to approve the resolution.
Okay.
I'll
Motion declare. You second?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made by Vice President, excuse me, I just demoted you.
Okay.
Vice President Newton, and second by Director Wheat. Okay, I'm going to call the roll. Director Hunkins? Aye or?
Aye.
Aye or nay, either one. Director Lindemood?
Aye.
Director, Vice President Newton?
Aye.
Director Terhove?
Aye.
Aye. Director Slauson?
Aye.
Okay. And Director Wheat?
Aye.
And the President votes aye. The motion carried, approved. Okay. Next item, item 3A, is Resolution R-20-155, a resolution adopting the Economic Development Capital Improvement Program, the EDCIP, for fiscal years 2021 to 2025. Whereas the bylaws of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation require that an economic development capital improvement program be developed, setting forth long and short-term goals that address the needs of the city within the financial constraints of revenues available to the corporation. And whereas the EDCIP shall identify projects to be undertaken by the corporation and the expected costs of the implementation. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation, Section 1, that the Economic Development Capital Improvement Program of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation, Exhibit A, is hereby adopted, and Section 2, that once approved, the EDCIP will be forwarded to the City Council for their subsequent approval, and Section 3, that this resolution shall become effective the date of passage and is so resolved. And Director Kyle will present the CIP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we've got two budget items, the first being the CIP, the second being the actual fiscal year 2021 budget. With those being so connected, I've got one presentation that covers both of them.
Okay.
Briefly that I'd like to go over for us tonight.
Okay.
So just background for anyone who may be watching, Colleyville's Economic Development Corporation was approved by voters in 1996. We adopted a additional 1/2 cent sales and use tax, and that is used to fund parks and parks facilities, a library, a community center, open space improvements, and other facilities and improvements as authorized by Vernon, Texas civil statutes. So for FY21, we're continuing the normal operations that we have in the past several years with some changes, mostly involving shuffling some personnel around as we discussed last time. Our community relations specialist and some of the promotional materials that go along with that position are appropriate costs to be paid for by the Hotel Occupancy Tax Fund. So we've moved those costs over into that fund. That made some room in the CEDC fund, and so we moved part of some personnel costs for 2 Colleyville Center staff members into the CEDC, and we'll see those personnel costs in just a moment. We are still focusing on special events as much as we can. I know this year has been a little bit odd with the pandemic, but we've still managed to do some great events, and we'll get into some of those in just a minute. In terms of our capital improvements, they are primarily parks related. The Parks House, for next year, we've slated to demo. At a point in the future, we will have a new amenity, but that's not within this budget just yet. We will have a shaded structure for seating for our softball area and some minor renovations for our senior center. And as with the current year, we're also aggressively pursuing grant opportunities for sidewalk and trail construction. So I have a few updates from what we saw last time and what was initially in your packet. When we initially proposed our budget, the revenues were very conservatively projected, and given how sales tax has shaken out this year, it's become necessary to increase our expectations. So for now, I'm projecting that we will end this year at an increase of 6% over budget. That's an increase in dollars of about $114,000 to the CEDC. For next year, I'm budgeting a 1.5% increase, a little more modest, and that increase would be about $30,000. Interest income remains low. The outlook for that remains pretty low. And since we're budgeting for a sidewalk and a trail grant match, we're also going to budget for the actual revenue we would receive if we do get a 75% match. That would be at $225,000. From a cost standpoint, our operating budget comes in at $1,562,561. This is an increase of a little over $15,000 from what was presented last meeting, and the increase is really in special events funding. Statutorily, we're allowed to spend 10% of our sales tax revenue for that year on special events. Because we increased that, we were able to make some more room for potential special events funding. Everything else is the same, though. We will fund a total of 15 positions here, 13 part-time librarians, 1 full-time library coordinator, 1 full-time recreation specialist, and partial positions for the Colleyville Center as well. Expenditure projections were also updated. So again, these will be a little bit different than what was in your packet. We're seeing some personnel savings in the library this year due to several vacancies. We expect them to be filled, totally staffed within the next year, but this year we do have quite a few savings in regards to those costs. We've had some similar savings in senior center personnel as well. Beyond that, we're tracking very close to budget. For FY21, the largest administrative expense we have is our debt service. The debt service is currently callable, and we're going to be exploring options to pay that off in the next few years. But as of now, the debt schedule extends through 2029. Spending for parks operations includes utilities costs for McPherson Park, as well as $50,000 in potential maintenance projects, should the need arise to utilize that money. Outside of personnel costs, library expenses include supplies for printers and computers, as well as some hardware replacement, desktop and battery backups. We do fund our senior center recreation specialists out of the CEDC fund. That also includes some minor operations and technology costs. And finally, you can see where we're moving the Colleyville Center funding for those 2 positions, partial 2 positions, into the CEDC fund next year. The operational and technology costs will remain unchanged.
One question just off the top, that you meant debt service goes to 2029?
Yes, sir.
And because of what's the reason we're considering retiring that debt?
So between now and 2029, we would have about $650,000 in interest payments. If we retired the debt, we could avoid having to pay that.
And it's also the case, isn't it, that our money is not earning that much
No,
income?
sir, it is not.
Right.
because of the economy right now.
Yeah.
Yes, and
That's correct.
the third component we're looking at as well, and that is that some of the expenses related to maybe qualify for other funding.
Oh, great.
So there's the three different components.
Yeah,
And so the question is whether we pay ourselves back, in other words, and that's the interest, we just save the interest, or and we pay ourselves back with no interest, or we also have the possibility of retiring the debt without any payback and just a expenditure in one of our other funds.
okay,
So there's a lot of possibilities that are all good.
great. Yeah, and so it'll essentially be $600,000. It's a year's payment
Yeah,
It's a saving.
that we'll be saving. That's a major deal.
yes, and if some portion of it could be negated, then that's a true savings over and above.
Yes,
Your debt payment internally even drops.
absolutely.
Perfect timing.
Great. Okay. All right. I'm
Had a-
sorry, I
Make the money while
interrupted
paying the
you.
debt off.
Kyle?
I had a
So-
question while we're on that page 2 on debt service.
Yes, sir.
In 2021 and 2024, the debt service went down and back up. Why would it do that?
I don't know the exact reason. It's a pretty marginal difference. I could look into that if you'd like, but I don't know the exact.
Yeah, it's just a curiosity. Typically, it stays the same and just continues to
It
decline.
does very slightly decline in 2024.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Okay.
It is odd, yeah.
In terms of special events, we did go through these last time, but I'll recap a little bit. First, again, as we mentioned earlier, our community relations specialists and promotional materials have been moved out of this fund, so you'll see that decrease in those last two lines at the bottom there. We've also added a little over $15,000 in funding capacity due to the increase in sales tax, but we haven't identified a specific event for it yet. So we'll have that option for the next year. Remaining funding is allocated between Movies in the Village, Stars and Guitars, the Christmas tree lighting, Haunted Trails, Farmers Market, a Memorial Day event, a Fine Arts event, and the Fort Worth Symphony Orchestra concert. This is my final slide tonight. It speaks more to the actual agenda item we are on. I did update our capital cost projections for this year as well as our operating expenses. We're splitting the Colleyville Center facility update between this fund and Hotel Motel, so we are going to have some savings there. We're also coming in well under budget with the Colleyville Center roof replacement, and we purchased outdoor furniture using a donation, so that's also ended up coming from a different fund. And all of that will help with our city park restroom facility, as that's coming in over budget. We've also taken some of the savings to begin the softball shade structure in the city park, as well as replacing some laptops in the library. But all told, our capital project spending is about $185,000 less than we had anticipated in this fiscal year. So for 2021, capital project spending is projected to further decrease to $685,000 next year, and that's pretty much exclusively made up of parks projects. We have a budgeted $300,000 for the potential sidewalk and trails matching grant, $20,000 to demo a parks house, and in money to install a shaded seating structure and playground near our softball field, as well as $65,000 for some minor renovations to our senior center. All told, with everything in, we're adding about $40,000 to our fund balance next year, and we're balanced as well. So this is the last slide of my presentation. I'll go ahead and turn it over to the board for any questions or comments.
It's good news all around. Our spending has been less than we projected, but we're still planning to spend similar amount, slightly reduced, I guess, 500,000. It's more than slight, I guess.
Mhm.
That's significant.
Yes, sir.
No, it's really good news, though, from an overall standpoint. Our finances are in tremendous shape. Appreciate the work.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're gonna go ahead and cover the capital improvement now?
Well, this is the entire presentation.
Oh, that's
I've got
everything?
here. So this
Okay.
is the capital improvement.
Oh,
section.
that is capital.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Okay, any other questions, anyone? If not, I'm gonna open the public hearing. And there's no one here?
There was a flood of people coming up.
That's right. The crowd, we're going to have to handle this crowd. So no comments, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
I'll move to approve. Does it have a number or just the budget?
The number?
The C.
Yeah.
R 20-155.
I'll move to approve that.
R-120.
R2155.
R2155.
2155.
Did you read that resolution?
20-155.
Yeah,
He did at the beginning.
okay, yeah. Got it.
I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made by Director Wheat and second by Vice President Newton. All in, we're going to do the roll. I'm going to call the vote. Director Lindemood,
Aye.
Vice President Newton,
Aye.
Director Terhove,
Aye.
Director Slauson,
Aye.
Director Wheat,
Aye.
Director Hunkins,
Aye.
and President votes aye. Motion approved. Okay. Next, item 3B. The resolution R-20-156, adopting the fiscal year 2021 budget. A resolution adopting the annual budget for the fiscal year 2021 for the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation. Whereas the bylaws of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation require that an annual budget be adopted by the Board of Directors, and whereas the bylaws require that the budget includes projected revenues and proposed expenditures. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation, Section 1, that the fiscal year 2021 budget amounts for the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation are as follows. Total revenues, $2,287,391. Operating expenditures, $1,562,561. Capital expenditures, $685,000. Total expenditures, $2,247,561. And the use of fund balances on capital projects is zero. And it is so resolved. Okay, we have a staff presentation.
Sorry.
Yes?
Oh, I've gone through the presentation I've got on, the sort of joint presentation I have on this. So
Fine.
I have no further
Okay,
presentation.
no further presentation. Those are the numbers that came off of the presentation he just gave. Any questions, comments? No questions, John? No questions, John?
No.
Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing. Public hearing is open. We have a crowd coming in.
They know we got it handled,
Here
George, that's why.
someplace.
We need that sound, a crowd noise
They're coming.
piped in.
Yeah.
Okay.
We ought to do
Since there's no one comes forward, I'm going to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion for,
I make a motion to accept R-20-156.
okay. And is there a second?
I'll second it. Oh, go ahead.
Director Hunkins, second.
I'll second it, yep.
So, a motion by Director Slauson and second by Director Hunkins. Okay, we'll call the roll then. Director Lindemood,
Aye.
Vice President Newton,
Aye.
Director Terhove,
Aye.
Director Slauson,
Aye.
Director Wheat,
Aye.
Director Hunkins,
Aye.
and President votes aye. Motion carried. Next item, 3C, is Resolution R-20-157, a resolution appointing the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation Board president and vice president. Whereas the bylaws of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation state that a president and vice president shall be elected by the board and shall serve a term of 1 year, and whereas the president and vice president shall continue to serve until their successors are appointed. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation, Section 1, that Director X is elected to serve as president of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation, and Section 2, that Director Y is elected to serve as vice president of the Colleyville Economic Development Corporation, and is so resolved. Is there any discussions? Any nominations?
I'd like to nominate George Dodson to continue as president and Mayor Newton to continue as vice president on the board.
Okay. Any other nominations? You make that in a motion.
She,
and
I
I'll
think,
handle it.
did you make it a motion?
Was it a motion?
Well, I just
It-
made a nomination, but you need a public hearing, I think, before I can make a motion.
No, you can make a
Can
motion.
I make a motion?
Yeah, go ahead and make a
All
motion.
right, so I'll make a motion to
Nominate.
nominate President Dodson to continue as president and Vice President Newton to continue as vice president of the
Okay.
board.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. We've got a motion and second. Okay, we're ready for the public hearing. Public hearing is open. Anyone speak up or forever hold your peace? Okay. No comments? No one's coming forward. I'm going to close the public hearing. And
The vote is in order.
we'll call for the vote. Okay, we'll start with Vice President Newton,
Aye.
Vice President, or Director Terhove,
Aye.
Director Slauson,
Aye.
Director Wheat,
Aye.
Director Hunkins,
Aye.
Director Lindemoon.
Aye.
Okay, and the president votes aye, motion carried. Okay, then item 4 is reports, annual activity report, staff presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Kyle Lester, again, Finance Director. I'm going to use the presentation that we just went through, since that contains the figures that we'll be talking about here. Additionally, we do have the annual report in your packet if you'd like to follow along. So accomplishments from FY20, from a revenue standpoint, the sales tax revenue from our half-cent sales tax was budgeted to come in at $1.9 million. Through actually July of 2020, the actual revenue was $1.562828 million. We do anticipate a 6% increase over what we initially budgeted. That would be an additional $114,000 coming to the corporation. From an expenditure standpoint, on our operating expenditures, the highest cost that we have here is debt service, $604,144 for FY20. Of course, we are going to look into retiring that debt as it is callable. The COVID pandemic, again, really threw a lot of our special events sort of into array here. But we did still end up doing quite a few, including a farmer's market, car show, Christmas tree lighting, and movie nights. The report did state that we did stars and guitars in the CEDC fund. This year, we actually elected to fund that out of Hotel Motel. Next year, we'll be doing that out of CEDC. We also funded some economic development promotional activities to help market the city and city events. In terms of personnel, we provided funding for 13 part-time library positions. We did have several vacancies there, but we expect to be fully staffed up very soon. 1 full-time library coordinator, a recreation specialist for the senior center, partial funding for the community relations specialist position as well. Technology costs for the library and senior center and Colleyville Center included software licenses, computer replacements, and some network switches. From a capital project standpoint, we had several capital project expenditures in this year. Some small costs for the library renovation project, just finishing up that project. That included reconfiguration of areas on the first and second floors to better meet community needs and utilization trends. Also included was a new children's area as well as updated space for adults on the first floor. We also managed to purchase some new laptops for the library. That's the largest expense that you're seeing in that $24,000 line. Colleyville Center, we included some facility updates and replacements, a roof replacement. We were planning on purchasing some outdoor furniture from this fund as well, but we received a donation and elected to utilize that for the outdoor furniture, saving this fund a little bit of money. We also had some landscape improvements at McPherson Park, and we're currently underway on our City Park restroom construction. And this concludes the overview of the activity for the fund, or for the corporation for fiscal year 2020.
Okay, and then the investment report?
Yes, sir. The investment report's I really have about 4 bullet points. So
That's
I
fine.
didn't,
4
I didn't
bullet
come up
points
with
are fine.
a slide here, but all the information is in your agenda briefing if you'd like to follow along. Corporation in total as of July 31st, 2020, total balance was $4,255,983. The majority of that was actually in, the corporation had a government security with a purchase price of about $1 million. It matured on March 27th, 2020, and the interest earned on that was $22,984. So right now, of that $4.2 million, cash is about $1.2 million. We have $2 million in government issues, a very small amount in local government investment pool of $16, which I plan on moving into another logic line item elsewhere in the city because it feels very silly to report on that.
I'd kind of like to see it stay there, that $16.
It is earning the best rate that we have. So
Okay.
$16.50.
There we go.
A couple of months.
I think we just should leave it right there.
And then lastly, we have certificates of deposit valued at $1,012,434. As of now, as we all know, security rates are well below the average governmental pool rates, and it's very difficult for us to find anything that's much more than 20 basis points. And so, as of July, the biggest thing we hold is that jumbo certificate of deposit. That's with Spirit of Texas Bank. The year-to-date interest earnings is $12,434. That investment's going to mature on April 24th, 2021, with a total earned interest of $18,005 for a 1.85% rate of return. And again, that's the most profitable thing we have there. From a liquidity standpoint, we're looking good. There's no danger there. And as reinvestment opportunities come up, we'll look at some more government pools, and if we can find something that's secure and a decent rate and meets our liquidity needs, then we'll certainly go for that.
Absolutely.
We're killing it with the interest rates, aren't we?
Man,
Oh,
tough on all those retirees, right, George?
it's not helpful. It is not helpful.
I got a
That's
question for you,
sure.
Mr. Kyle. Could you back up the slide to where it shows where we're doing like the entertainment, where that involved the, right there?
The
Yes.
events?
I think I see a couple of things in there, just an idea, if we ever needed more money for the CEDC, we have that hotel fund, that I see a few things in there that are actually attractants to our city that fund can be used for, and maybe it would free a little more money up if we needed it for this budget at another date, but just an idea.
Absolutely. It's, and we sort of went back and forth with that. Hotel occupancy tax law is, it's just kind of a ball of yarn.
Yeah.
So, for example, promotion of the arts is one of the things that you can use it for. Unfortunately, you can't use more than 15% of your hotel revenue for it, which is sort of odd and counterintuitive. I'm not sure who wrote that in there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the real purpose of it. What they try and make you push towards is marketing your community, and anything that sort of gets Colleyville's name out there, which is why we moved some personnel over there and promotional items. But I mean, anytime we find an opportunity to move money away from here and into hotel motel, I think we should do it.
Yeah, I'm
Sure.
thinking like, the Stars and Guitars, because we advertise it, and also,
Sure.
the movies in the village, it actually, people from outside of the village, outside of Colleyville actually come to that too as well. So, just some of those things, I just see that as a way that we could use it.
Yes, and it's the most restricted funds we're going to fill up first, and HOT's probably our most restricted fund.
Where do the concerts come in to play? Are those fine arts?
Concerts would
The
probably be
concerts that we have out here by the
right.
Plaza.
in front in the plaza.
I'm guessing promotion of the arts. I think there are a few categories. That's the one that it would probably fit most in.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because like the state cook-off, that's a big draw from outside,
Yeah,
you know, and stuff like that.
absolutely. Yeah, some of the groups that we've been getting are quite good.
Of course, I see that it might be
Yeah. What'd you say?
not happening.
What'd you say, Bobby?
Oh, I was just looking at the projection on the rest of
Oh,
the
yeah.
state cook-off.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I did
State cook-off, yeah. that-
compete in that. I did not place.
That didn't work.
So you're saying there's no bias? That's what you're
No,
telling us?
no, not at
Yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. That's an excellent report, and thank you for your hard work. I think it was extremely helpful to see a breakout of the expenses. It really brought home all the great news of us underspending and over income.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that you deserve a cup of coffee for that.
So,
No, you
lot of
did, you
management
worked, no, I do appreciate your working hard to do that.
of course.
In the last 2 weeks, I know you had 2 or 3 other things to do too,
Nope.
so.
And I'd like to say something with you, George, is that I like it that our committee is filled up with also citizens that'll actually look out, you guys helping us
Yes.
out. That way, other people know that that the citizens are involved, and you see these numbers, and that we just can't throw something down there and say, hey, here it is. With you guys being involved, we appreciate that, looking over this stuff,
Yeah, we sure do, Mark.
giving us the
Mark,
blessing with it.
John,
Just
Ralph?
a general question, does the full board feel like the CEDC overall, we're doing what needs to be done and it's meeting its purpose?
Oh, very much so.
Okay, very good.
Awesome.
I think so.
Good.
Look at the crowds.
the crowd is excited about it.
Hey, we're not a big attraction.
That's kind of a good thing.
That's kind of a good thing.
Well, again, we thank you all, we thank you, you all for your time.
Absolutely.
It's very important to us. And again, I think we've done a very good job. And with that, I will adjourn unless someone has a concern. No concerns.
Okay.
President,
Do you have a concern, John? Just 1 second.
No,
just
No, I'm all good, thanks.
as a matter of protocol, would you call item number 5, ask if there are any citizen comments?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I passed that up. Yes, item 5, before we adjourn, are there any comments, any citizen comments you'd like to make? Seeing there are no citizens, there will be no comments. Now I will adjourn unless there are issues. So we are adjourned. Thank
Yep.
you very much.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you.
Well, it was heavy lifting this time. 4 resolutions?